Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Abhishek and today we are diving into the magical world of functions in Python. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about functions? Well, functions are like the magic spells of programming. They help you organize your code, make it reusable, and save you from writing the same code over and over again. Imagine cooking your favorite dosa without repeating the same steps every time. Sounds good, right? Let's cook up some code with functions. Today, we'll cover why we need functions, how to define and call functions, function arguments and default arguments, variable length arguments, lambda functions, functions as first class objects, and decorators. Let's get started. Now let's jump into the Jupyter notebook to write some code and see these concepts in action. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a function and why do we need it in Python? A function is a block of reusable code that performs a specific task. It allows you to break your code into smaller and manageable pieces. Functions help your code more organized and avoid repetition. Think of it like having a recipe of making dosa. You follow the steps once and can reuse it anytime you want to make dosa again. Now, imagine you have to prepare dosa and serve two customers. What you will do? You will prepare the batter, heat the tawa, pour batter and spread, add masala filling, fold and serve the customer one. Again you will repeat the same task. Prepare batter, heat tawa, pour batter and spread, add masala filling, fold and serve the second customer. What if you want to serve 100 customers? You will repeat these steps 100 times, right? What do you think this is? This is very repetitive and hard to manage. So, without function, your code will look like this. Instead, with function, we can simplify it like this. You follow the steps once and can reuse it anytime you want to make dosa again. Defining and calling functions is very easy. Let's break it down. This is the syntax of defining a function. Def is the keyword, then function name, followed by the parenthesis. Inside that, we have to pass the arguments, parameters. After that, in the next line, we have to write the statements or the code which has to be executed. So in our case, this is the function which we have already created. Def make dosa is a function name, and inside that we are executing this code. Now that we have understood how to create a function, let me tell you how to call this function. This is the syntax to call a function. Function name followed by the parenthesis. Inside that, if we have to pass an argument, we can pass. So in our case, we already have a function called make dosa. To call that function, we just have to simply do make dosa and execute the code. So this is how we can define a function and call a function. Sometimes you need your functions to be flexible, like adding different toppings to your dosa. This is the syntax on how we can add arguments to our function. We can pass arguments inside the parentheses like this. Earlier, we have created a plain dosa. Let us now create a special masala dosa functions. Look at this function now. I have created a function named make special dosa, and inside that I am passing two arguments. So, and I am calling that function here. So here I am passing the first argument as masala, second argument as potato. So in the steps, first it will prepare, then heat the tawa, pour batter and spread for type of dosa. The type of dosa which I am passing is masala dosa. Next, add filling. Filling the argument. The value of that argument is potato. Then in the next step, fold and serve. Let me execute it. This is how we can pass the arguments to a function. Ever wanted default options? Let's say you like your dosa with potato filling by default. We can do that too. Let me copy this. So in this function, I will make potato as a default filling. How we can do that is in the arguments, I will mention potato and I will not pass the second argument here. If I do that and if I execute, by default, if you don't pass any argument, then it will consider potato as filling. Suppose I pass a second argument now as lemon. Now if I execute, it will take lemon as a filling. In some situation, you might want to allow your function to accept a variable number of arguments. This is especially useful when you don't know beforehand how many arguments you will be passing to that function. In Python, we can achieve this using star args and star star kw args, arbitrary arguments and keyword arguments. Let's start with star args, which allows us to pass a variable number of positional arguments to our function. Here is how it works. So, in this example, the topping parameters allows us to pass any number of toppings to make masala dosa function. Let's see it in action. Let me call this function make masala dosa and I will pass in different number of toppings. Let me first pass the cheese and let me try to execute it. Yes, it worked. After preparing batter, heating the tawa, pouring batter and spread, adding potato filling, it added cheese topping and then fold and serve. Let me add one more parameter to it. Now I will add onions. Right? Let me run this. See, after adding cheese, it has added onion. Let me add one more topping, tomato. I'll execute it. See, now it has added cheese, onion, and tomatoes. Right? Let me again call it make masala dosa. And now I will add capsicum. I will add paneer filling. I will execute this. See, as you can see here, we can add any number of toppings to our dosa. This makes our function flexible and reusable. And this is how star args are used in our functions. And one thing to remember is star args will be of type tuple when we pass it to a function. Let me show you quickly. Print of toppings and just execute it. This is the topping, and to print the type, as we can see here, the type of toppings which we have passed is tuple type. In addition to star args, we can also use keyword arguments to pass a variable number of keyword arguments to a function. This is useful when you want to handle a named argument. Let me show you how. Here, star star ingredients parameter allows us to pass any number of keyword arguments to make masala dosa function. Each keyword argument is treated as key value pair in a dictionary. That means this ingredient is a dictionary, right? Let's see it in action now. Now we can call make special dosa with different ingredients and quantity. Let me call that function node. Here I'm passing keyword argument to this function. Let me execute it. So after printing these three lines, next in a loop we are adding this quantity of items. So this example shows how we can use keyword arguments to make our function even more flexible. To summarize, using args and keyword args allows us to create a functions that can handle varying number of arguments. This makes our functions more powerful and adaptable to different situations. Whether you are adding multiple toppings to your masala dosa or specifying different ingredients for special dosa, this technique gives you flexibility to do so. Now let's learn about lambda function. Lambda functions are small, anonymous functions defined using lambda keyword. They can have any number of arguments, but only one expression. Think of them as those quick dosas you grab on the go. Delicious, but made with minimal ingredients and efforts. In this example, we have defined the lambda function that takes two arguments, x and y, and returns the sum of x plus y. It's like ordering a plain dosa, simple and quick. We can call lambda function like this. The result is returned. I'm collecting it into a result variable and I'm printing the result. Let me try to give one more example. We know lambda function can take any number of arguments. Let me write a lambda function which multiplies a, b and c, then return the result. So let me define it. Lambda a, b, c are the input arguments, colon, it returns a into b into c. Let me collect the result here. Multiply lambda, later we'll print it. Let me pass the values here, 2, 5, 8, 80. Now let's compare this lambda function with a regular function. Regular functions are defined using def keyword and can contain multiple expressions, right? So regular functions have more verbose syntax, making them easier to read and understand, especially for complex operations. Lambda functions also have their advantages. They are quick, concise, and perfect for smaller tasks. However, they have limitations. They can only contain single expression and are not suitable for complex operations. Regular functions, on the other hand, are more versatile and can handle complex tasks. In Python, functions are treated as first-class objects. This means you can pass function as argument to other functions, return them from functions, and also you can even assign them to a variable. It's like how Bollywood stars can do it all, act, dance, and host award shows. Explain the first point, assign function to variables. I'll create a function named say hello. I will pass name as a parameter. I'll return hello and the parameter name. Okay. So let me call this function say hello and I'll try to pass a value. Right. I'll execute it. Now this is returning hello Shahrukh. Okay. Now we know this function will return hello Shahrukh. As per first point, I'll assign the function to a variable. Say hello is a function. I'll assign that to a variable named greet. Now let me print this value greet of Shahrukh. Let me execute it. See, this explains function why function is called as a first class object in Python. Next, we can also pass functions as argument to other functions. Let me give some example. So in this example, we are defining a perform action function, and the action is nothing but the function we are passing. So if you see here, perform action is a function. To that function, I am passing say hello function and the string Salman. So the control goes to perform action and it is returning action of name. Action is nothing but say hello. Say hello and name is Salman. So it will return hello Salman. Function can also return from another function. This is like a Bollywood star producing a new movie and introducing a new star. Let me show with an example. I will define get greeting function. Inside that, I will define one more function. I will pass name to it. Greet function will return namaste with the name parameter. Okay. Now the main get greet function will return greet function. So if you see this definition, the get greet function is returning a greet function. So returning functions from function. Let me call this function get greeting function. Okay. I'll collect the result in a variable greet function. I will call the greet function with Deepika. Okay. Now if you see greet function, inside that I'm passing Deepika as the argument. So the control will go to this function. Right. Now this function is returning a greet. Greet is one more function. So control will go to greet function with the parameter name Deepika and it will return Namaste Deepika. Functions can be stored in collections like list or dictionary. It's like having a lineup of Bollywood stars ready to perform different roles. Let me show with example. In this example, we see the list of functions, right? We have a list of functions and we are calling it one by one. It's like Hrithik Roshan performing in a movie. First he is singing and then he is dancing. So we have seen how functions in Python are like our Bollywood stars. They can be passed around, returned, and stored in collections, just like our favorite actors who can do it all. Functions as first-class objects bring flexibility and power to our Python code. Let's talk about decorators in Python. Imagine our film stars getting ready for a scene. They have a makeup artist, right? costume designer, and stylist who add that extra touch to make them shine. In Python, decorators are like these stylists. They add extra functionality to our functions. Let's quickly jump into Jupyter Notebook and see how they work. Decorators are special functions that can modify the behavior of other functions or methods. Think of them as the makeup artist of Python. They add a layer of enhancement to your existing functions. Let me show you with example. I'll create a regular function now named actorOnSet. If I try to execute this, it will return actor is ready to shoot. Let us now create a makeup artist decorator who applies makeup to our actorOnSet function. Right, let me create a decorator. Let me define a makeup artist function. Okay, so remember, decorator is a function that takes another function as argument. So our makeup artist function will take another function, that means actorOnSet function as an argument. Add some code. Here I've added some code before and after our main function and returns a new function. Here our decorator function is returning a function. Right? Let me try to execute this again. We don't see any extra decorated result because we are not calling that decorator function. To use the decorator function on top of our actorOnSet function, we have to write like this at the rate followed by the decorator function. Now we have applied the decorated function on top of our actorOnSet function. Let me execute it again. See here, in this example, we have a decorator makeup artist function that adds some extra steps before and after the actorOnSet function. Just like our film stars can have multiple stylists, our function can also have multiple decorators. Let's see how we can layer those decorators. Earlier, we have created a function with a single decorator, right? Let me create one more decorator function called costume designer. So, if you look at this costume designer function, it is taking function as an argument. Then this costume designer function is returning a function called wrapper. Inside wrapper, it is printing choosing costume. Then it is calling the actorOnSet function, which we will be passing to this costume designer function. Later, it will print costume chosen. So this is adding a extra layer on top of our original function, right? So once we have created a function, to add that as a decorator on top of actorOnSet function, we have to write like this. At the rate costume designer, right? So now we have applied makeup artist and costume designer decorators to actorOnSet function. Now let me call this actorOnSet function. So earlier with single decorator, the output was like this: applying makeup, actor is ready to shoot, and makeup done. Now I have added one more decorator. Let me execute it and check the output. See, choosing costume, applying makeup, then actor is ready to shoot. After that, makeup is done, costume is chosen. Let's break down the flow of execution of this code. Once a function call is initiated, the control will go here. It checks now the outer decorator. Outer decorator is costume designer. It will go to that function. Here, this function is returning a wrapper function. The definition of wrapper function is here. So inside wrapper function, it will print choosing costume. Okay. After that, the next step is it is calling a function. So control will go back to this function and it will pick the inner decorator now, makeup artist. Right? Control will go to the makeup artist function. Here, again, inside the wrapper function, first it will print applying makeup. Right? Applying makeup. After that, here also it is calling the original function, that is actor on set. The control will go back to the actor on set function. Here no more decorators, directly it will print actor on, actor is ready to shoot. After that, the control will return to the makeup artist function, like wherever it has left, right? Then here it will print makeup done. After that, control will go back to the costume designer function. Next, it will print costume chosen, right? Then the function call is completed now. How can we pass arguments to a function while using a decorator? Let me show you with an example. I will use the same example which we have written earlier, makeup artist example. Here we have a function actor on set and I'll try to pass an argument to it. Let me write name. We already learned how to pass arguments to a function in our variable length argument concept, right? This is how we can pass arguments to a function. Let me print that argument here like this with a formatted string. Now we have passed argument to a function. I'll try to execute it and check what will be the result. I will pass Rajkumar. Let me execute it. See, here we are getting a type error saying makeup artist locals.wrapper takes 0 position argument but 1 was given. So wrapper is taking 0 arguments but 1 was given. That means in our decorator function, it is returning a wrapper function, right? Here also we have to pass the argument which we are passing to our function. How we can pass? We can pass like this. Name. Let me run it now. See, actor Rajkumar is ready to shoot. And if you want to pass the variable length of argument, how can we do? It is very simple. Instead of a single argument, you can pass star args or star keyword argument. You can name it anyway, like this is a regular example we'll be using. By default, we'll name it as star args star kw args. Okay, and same thing I have to pass it to the function as well. Okay, let me execute it now. That's it. This is how we can pass the argument to a function. This function is having a 3 callables. Number 1 is the decorated function. Number 2 is the decorator function. And the last one is the value returned from a decorator function. Right? Let us learn on how to pass arguments to a decorator. The decorator with arguments should return a function that will take function and return another function. Basically, we have to write 3 functions. Outer function, I'll explain you. This is the syntax actually. Outer function, it takes the arguments from a decorator. Inside that, we have to write a decorator function, like one more function which takes the main function which needs the decoration. it takes the function to be decorated, and the final function, that is a wrapper function. It wraps the original function with additional behavior, right? Let me show you with an example. Pass argument to decorator. So we have actor on set function which is calling makeup artist decorator, right? I'll pass a log level to it. Level info. So now I'm passing argument to a makeup artist, right? As per our definition, we need a outer function and it takes the arguments from decorator. Let me create a outer function. Now we think, assume this is the outer function, it should take a argument from decorator. The argument from decorator is level. And again, a decorator function, it takes the function to be decorated. Okay, let me write a decorator function and it should take the function which needs the decoration, right? Then the wrapper function, it wraps the original function and adds additional behavior. So we already have a wrapper function which does that things, right? Okay, now the decorator function should return the function, wrapper function, and the makeup artist function should return the decorator function. Okay, now have passed the argument to a makeup artist decorator. So let me create that statement here. So here let me try to add that level. Level applying makeup, and here also I'll pass that level to this statement. Level level makeup done. So I'm just logging the things here, right? So let me try to execute it. I will execute it. So I'll pass Rajkumar. See here, this info is coming from a decorator, the level argument, right? Info applying makeup. Now actor is ready to shoot. After that again info makeup done. So this is how we can pass arguments to a decorator. Alright, let's quickly recap on what we have covered today. We learned that functions help us to organize our code, make it reusable, and break down complex problems into manageable pieces. We learned how to define a function using a def keyword and how to call a function using a function name followed by parentheses. We learned how to pass arguments to a function and how to set default arguments in a function. We learned about variable length arguments, that is, you can pass star args and star star keyword arguments to a function which takes any number of arguments, right? Then we learned about lambda function. Lambda function are simply an anonymous function defined by using a lambda keyword, right? And we discussed on how function in Python can be passed around as argument, returned from other function, and assigned to a variable, which makes them as a first class object. And finally, we learned about the decorators, which are a powerful way to modify the behavior of a function. And we also covered on creating a decorators with arguments. Yes, we have covered from the basics of function to a advanced concept of decorators. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Tech Jaala for more videos. Thank you.